Arms will prepare the chamber and bring in the absent members. The clerk will call the roll.
Ashajian, Alejo, Allen, Baker, Bigelow, Bloom, Bonilla, Bonta, Rowe, Brown, Burke, Calderon, Campos, Chang, Chow, Chavez, David Chu, Canton Chu, Cooley, Cooper, Dababne, Daly, Daly, Dodd, Eggman, Frazier, Gaines, Gallagher, Christina Garcia, Eduardo Garcia, Gatto, Gibson, Gomez, Gonzalez, Gordon, Gray, Grove, Hadley, Harper, Hernandez, Holden, Irwin, Jones, Joan Sawyer, Kim, Lackey, Levine, Linder, Lopez, Lowe, Mainshine, Mathis, Mays, McCarty, Medina, Melendez, Mullen, Nazarian, Obernolte, O'Donnell, Olson, Patterson, Perea, Quirk, Rendon, Ridley Thomas, Rodriguez, Salas, Santiago, Steinorth, Stone, Thurmond, Ting, Wagner, Waldron, Weber, Wilk, Williams, Wood. Madam Speaker.
A quorum is present. A quorum is present. We ask our guests and visitors in the rear of the chamber and in the gallery to please stand for the prayer. Today's prayer will be offered by our Assembly Chaplain, Father Constantine Papadimos. Father Papadimos. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Let us pray. Lord, you give each one of us a brain and arms and legs. You also give every person certain gifts and talents. By using them well, each of us can be the creator of our own good fortune and progress. Lord, you notice the way we speak to others, the love and the kindness we show to others. Help us, no matter what we face today, to think of you first and to please you in everything we do. Amen.
Thank you, Father. We ask our guests and visitors to remain standing and join us for the flag salute. Join Assemblymember Gaines as she leads us in the pledge. Ms. Gaines.
Members, please join me in saluting our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Reading of the previous day's journal.
Assembly Chamber, Sacramento, Wednesday, January 21st, 2015. The Assembly met at 7 a.m. Honorable Scott Wilk, Assembly Member 38th District, presiding. Chief Clerk E. Dotson Wilson at the desk.
Mr. Holden moves and Ms. Olson seconds that the reading of the previous day's journal will be dispensed with. Presentations of petitions, there are none. Introduction and reference of bills will be deferred. Reports of committees, there are none. Messages from the governor, there are none. Messages from the Senate, there are none. Motions and resolutions, the absences for the day. For legislative business, Assembly Members Dababne and Williams. For illness, Assembly Members Daly and Ridley Thomas. Mr. Holden, you are recognized for your motions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I request unanimous consent to suspend Assembly Rule 118 to allow Speaker Atkins and Assemblymember Calderon to have guests and photographers on the floor today.
Without objection, the request is granted.
For Mr. Calderon, his guest, or should I say his fiancée, will be seated at his desk for introductions. Mr. Speaker, I also request unanimous consent to suspend Assembly Rule 45.5 to allow Assembly members Bloom, Cooper, Gaines, Gibson, and Irwin to speak on adjourn in memory today.
Without objection, the request is granted. Moving to guest introductions, Mr. Calderon, you are recognized at your desk.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. Today, I am so proud to have with me my beautiful fiancée, Elise. I always give her a hard time and tell her that she's the lucky one, but in actuality, I am the one who is the lucky one. I'm so proud to have her with me today, so join me in welcoming her.
Mr. Cooper, you are recognized at your desk for your guest introduction.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to welcome a group of fifth graders from Stone Lake Elementary School in Elk Grove who are visiting the Capitol as part of their government class. I had a chance to speak to them this morning, and I want to welcome them and their teachers, Mr. Parson and Miss Lumsford. And they're up in the gallery.
Those are some.
Members, if we could have your attention. I'm going to go back to Mr. Cooper. Your guests have now arrived in the gallery. Mr. Cooper, you are recognized.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. Although the teachers are a little bit late, we want to acknowledge Stone Lake Elementary School, and we have two classes of fifth graders visiting here at the Capitol, taking part in their government class, and their teachers are Mr. Pearson and Miss Lumsford. Thank you very much for being here and visiting us.
Mr. Salas, are you ready for your guest introduction?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If you could please, members, welcome Richland, junior high school students. They're part of the student council out there learning about government today. They're up in the gallery.
Now moving to business on the daily file. Business on the daily file, file item number 1, SCR 3 by Assemblymember Bonta. The clerk will read.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 3 by Senator Mendoza relative to India Republic Day.
Mr. Bonta, you may open on the measure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, today I rise to present SCR 3 by Senator Mendoza, which observes today, January 26, 2015, as India Republic Day, and marks the 65th anniversary of the day the Constitution of India was adopted. SCR 3 acknowledges this important historical event and recognizes the contributions of the Asian Indian community here in California. According to the 2010 U.S. Census, the Asian Indian population in the United States grew by nearly 70% in the last 10 years, making it one of the fastest growing ethnic groups in the United States. Today, there are over 500,000 Americans of Indian descent in California. The achievements of Asian Indians in California and the United States include contributions to all facets of our community, such as success in the medical, entertainment, education, and food industries, among many others. The celebration of India Republic Day gives us an opportunity to celebrate these accomplishments and the future of this important community in California. Although India obtained its independence from British rule on August 15, 1947, it still lacked a permanent constitution. On January 26, 1950, India declared itself a sovereign, democratic, and republic state with the adoption of their constitution. Members, Republic Day is the most popular of all the national holidays of India and serves to remind us that the foundation of any nation and our state is in its people, in their spirit and courage in the face of diversity, and in their willingness to sacrifice in the pursuit of freedom and liberty. I respectfully ask for your aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bonta. Ms. Garcia, you are recognized.
Members, Mr. Speaker, in my city of Artesia, in my district, we have a large and very active Indian community. In fact, there's a neighborhood known as Little India. The area contributes so much to the 58th Assembly District. In Artesia, American and Indian cultures are woven together, creating a colorful cultural tapestry right in my own backyard. I celebrated Bindi Jewelers as my small business of the year. Bindi, one of the most recognized and foremost names in the South Asian jewelry market. Sanashandi specializes in authentic Indian-made clothing for all occasions. They've been in business for over 32 years, and is America's first and best and largest Indian boutique for any wedding apparel. It is from that boutique that I received the most beautiful sari so that I might celebrate in Artesia's annual India Independence Day celebration. I'm lucky to be able to walk by the Sarati market where they have the best chana masala. So today, out of respect to my Indian constituents, I wanted to say a few words about Indian Republic Day. Today commemorates the struggles that the people of India endured in order to gain the ability to govern themselves, to decide their own fate, and to have laws and government that reflects the people of India. The right to have a government of the people, by the people, is to believe that the people of both India and the United States understand and share all too well. Democracy is never ending, journey that requires all of us to keep working at it, to keep moving forward. I think it's important that we recognize and celebrate India's independence because by doing so, remind us to appreciate our own. It also reminds us of how truly rich we are here in California. Their history and culture, as with the many cultures that have decided to call this state their home, only make California a more vibrant and colorful place to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia. Ms. Kim, you are recognized at your desk.
Mr. Speaker and members, I rise in support of SCR 3. Over the years, I've had the pleasure of working with the Indian American community and have come to know many Indian Americans, and I call them friends, and many of them reside in and around my district. More than half a century after gaining independence, India's democratic political system has strengthened, featuring universal suffrage, several orderly transfers of power, broad-based economic growth, and the rule of law. In a region too often seen for having undemocratic governments, political and social turmoil, intolerance across religious or ethnic lines, India truly stands out for her democracy and stability. Every year, I have proudly joined with my friends in the Indian American community to celebrate three of their most celebrated national holidays. India Republic Day in January is one of those, and today is no exception. So I'm happy to support this resolution, and I urge my colleagues to cast their aye vote. Thank you.
Mr. Chu, you're recognized.
Second, thank you. I also want to join my colleague to honor the Republic Day of India. We celebrate. There was a big celebration in my district last night in Santa Clara, and I know today is their Republic Day. As a representative from Silicon Valley, we often joke about what makes Silicon Valley most famous is the IC. And I stands for the Indian American community, and C stands for the Chinese American community. So it's a great honor to be here on the floor to join my colleague in recognize the Indian Day. Thank you.
Ms. Baker, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to my colleague for providing this body with an opportunity to celebrate the accomplishments of a fellow democratic culture. By bringing this forward today, we're not only able to celebrate our fellow democratic countries, but a culture that is very rich in its contribution to California. We have a wonderful Asian Indian community in the Tri-Valley area of my district, just a short hour and 15-minute drive from here. And my children are very privileged to be able to celebrate Diwali, to go to school with children who speak Hindi and Gujarati and Tamil, and to experience different cultures. And we see firsthand in our own community in the East Bay area just a thriving Asian Indian community that contributes to every aspect of our success. And so thank you for bringing this opportunity to us, and I do urge an aye vote for this good resolution.
Thank you, Ms. Baker. Mr. Cooley, you are recognized.
Colleagues, I'm honored to rise as we celebrate Republic Day. The democracy of India is extraordinarily vibrant, so vibrant, in fact, that there is a new state in the nation of India, Telangana, centered on Hyderabad. And here in my assembly district, we have a large Telangana association. A great many Indian Americans living in the 8th AD here in Sacramento County who trace their roots not just to Mother India, but to the newest state, which is less than 9 months old. And so as we honor the democracy of that state, it is indeed vibrant and continues to manifest itself as the nation grows and develops. And in my own district, I see the great professionalism and skill set that these immigrants have brought here.
Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Bonta, you may close.
Thank you, members, for your thoughtful words of support. I respectfully ask for your aye vote on SCR 3.
Mr. Bonta, would you like co-authors?
We open the first roll for co-authors.
The first roll will be open for co-authors members. The clerk will open the roll. This is for co-authors added on SCR 3. All members vote who wish to vote. All members vote who wish to vote. There are 75 co-authors added to SCR 3. Without objection, we may take a voice vote on this item. All those in favor say aye. Opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Moving back to guest introductions, Madam Speaker, you are recognized for your guest introduction.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker and members. It gives me incredible pleasure to introduce to you a very special guest who's joining with us today in the chamber. With us on the assembly floor is the newly installed Consul General of India from San Francisco. Ambassador Venkateshan Ashok has had a distinguished career, having previously concluded diplomatic assignments in Hong Kong, Malaysia, China, Austria, Sri Lanka, as well as serving in various capacities in India's Ministry of External Affairs. I did share with him this would be his best post, just so you know. Prior to his posting in San Francisco this past November of 2014, Ambassador served as India's ambassador to the Republic of Zimbabwe and later as ambassador to the Czech Republic. He's joining us today to observe the adoption of SCR 3 and to celebrate the legislature's proclamation of January 26th as India Republic Day in California. California and India share a very close and unique relationship. As my colleague has already indicated, more Indian Americans call California home than any other state in the Union. Their contributions to making California the greatest state in the nation can be felt in every part of California life, whether it's business, education, science and technology, economics, culture, politics, or sports. I was going to say today President Obama is in India, but actually it is today, but they celebrated the Republic Day celebrations a few hours ago, and we all got to see the reports of that before we were able to introduce him on the floor today to reaffirm our indispensable partnership that exists between the United States and India. And I know that I speak for all of us when I say that we're honored by your presence here today at the Capitol and your posting in California. We look forward to working with you to continue to strengthen the cultural, economic, and political ties between California and India. Members, so please join me in welcoming to the Assembly floor the Consul General of India, Ambassador Ashok.
Members, if we could have your attention. Members. Mr. Cooper, you have some additional guest introductions for us.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also want to introduce my Indo-American visitors from my community who are visiting the Capitol today, representing the Indian Association of Sacramento, K3 International, and the Indus Valley Chamber of Commerce. Please welcome Inderjeet Kali Rai, Gauri Kang, Nirmal Kang, Sukh Singh, Pumi Man, and Iqbal Baldwaz, and they're all up in the gallery. Thank you.
Ms. Gaines, you are recognized for your guest introductions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. On this day, when we are welcoming the Consul General of India and have passed a resolution honoring India Republic Day in California, I'd like to tell you about the Indian Association of Sacramento's mission, and that is to facilitate communication, cooperation, and collaboration between the Indian community and the local communities to celebrate the Indian culture and traditions. The association showcases India's glory to the residents of the greater Sacramento community at large and for our future generations. I'm honored to be representing such a wonderful community. As the host family for a Rotary foreign exchange student from India, I learned a great deal of respect for the Indian culture. That's why I feel it's so important to recognize this association. Colleagues, please join me again and Assemblymember Ken Cooley in welcoming the Indian Association of Sacramento.
Mr. Bonta, you are recognized for your announcement.
Thank you. Members, I would also like to invite you to a reception in celebration of India Republic Day. It'll start at 1 p.m. It'll be in room 211. All members, guests, and staff are invited to attend. Hope to see you there.
Thank you, Mr. Bonta. Moving to adjournments in memory. Request to adjourn in memory. The following members were granted prior permission to speak on an adjournment in memory. Mr. Bloom, you are recognized at your desk.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask that we adjourn in memory of Santa Monica resident Bess Meyerson, a most remarkable woman who passed away recently at the age of 91. She was born on July 16, 1924, to Russian Jewish immigrants and graduated second in her class at New York's High School of Music and Art. From there, she attended Hunter College in Manhattan, where she graduated with honors with a Bachelor of Arts in Music. In 1945, at the age of 21, she entered the Miss New York competition and won, sending her to the Miss America pageant that she also ultimately won on September 9, 1945, just days after the Japanese surrender. She was the first and remains the only Jewish Miss America, and of all places, it was the Miss America pageant and its aftermath where she experienced her first experience with anti-Semitism. As she entered the national competition on the heels of her New York win, she was asked to change her name so it wouldn't sound Jewish. She refused. And after she won the pageant, in the national pageant, 3 of the top sponsors refused to allow her to endorse their products. As she toured the country, country clubs and hotels refused to accept her, and in some cases, events were canceled. Nevertheless, she remained positive because all the while, everywhere she went, Jewish people and people of goodwill thanked her and applauded her. These experiences catapulted a career of helping others that spanned nearly 5 decades. She used her time at Miss America to preach tolerance, and in 1945 joined the Anti-Defamation League as part of their national tolerance campaign. She ultimately would win the ADL's Woman of the Year award in 1965. That same year, she also began a 7-year stint as chairwoman of the Bonds for Israel Fund, where she helped raise millions of dollars for food and economic development for Jews affected by the war. She also became the first ever commissioner for New York City's Department of Consumer Affairs under Mayor Koch, where she developed food labeling laws and unit pricing to better protect consumers. These became a model for the nation and are now ubiquitous on all food products. After hearing her speak at an ADL function, television producer Walt Framer hired Meyerson for the 1950s game show The Big Payoff, and this led to stardom, where she was on the television show I've Got a Secret for 9 years, from 1958 to 1967. And in 1973, she fought and survived ovarian cancer, which then led to her involvement in raising money to fight that disease. Bess Meyerson's life and career was long, multifaceted, and inspirational, and I thank the Assembly for adjourning in her memory.
Thank you, Mr. Bloom. Mr. Cooper, you are recognized for your adjournment in memory.
Mr. Speaker, I ask that we rise today to adjourn in memory of a constituent of mine and a member of the Capitol community, Kyle Long, who suddenly passed away on January 10th at the age of 27. Kyle got a start when he worked across the street at Chicory while working his way through Sac State. Kyle, after college, went to work for Senator DeSaulnier and then Senator Mendoza when he was in the Assembly. Kyle returned to Senator DeSaulnier's office when he successfully staffed bills to provide rape victims with counseling services, keep pesticides out of our schools, and provide homeless children with school supplies, and close the loop to keep drunk drivers off our streets. Kyle was known for his bright spirit and energy and was a dependable, resourceful, enthusiastic, and dedicated to the state legislature. He was a native of Sacramento and is survived by his parents, siblings, grandmother, and numerous other family members and friends. He will be missed.
Ms. Gaines, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. Today I rise to adjourn in the memory of Krista Iberol. Ms. Iberol was tragically taken from this world on January 7th when she became the victim of a robbery, carjacking, and ultimately murder as she was leaving a dining establishment in El Dorado Hills. A graduate of Yankton High School, Ms. Iberol was a pianist, a philanthropist, an artist, and a pacifist. She enrolled in the California Institute of Jewelry Training in Citrus Heights, California, where she earned her certification in gemology, jewelry design, and jewelry appraisal. She became a jewelry appraiser at the Home Consignment Center in Folsom. Ms. Iberol believed there was no such thing as a semi-precious stone. All were precious if they helped a person resonate happiness and connect with the beauty she felt that we all have within us. Colleagues, please join me in adjourning in the memory of a precious soul in Ms. Krista Iberol.
Thank you, Ms. Gaines. Mr. Gibson, you are recognized for your adjournment in memory.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I rise today to ask this great body to adjourn today's session in the memory of Sharani Lee Fisher. Sharani Lee Fisher was a constituent of the 64th District, grew up and raised in Compton, California. She was born on September the 3rd, 1948. She passed away this life on December 19th, 2014. She was the oldest of 6 children, born to Dr. Reverend Jerome Fisher and Fannie Mae Fisher. Sharani was naturally a sweet child. She received the nickname that her father gave her, Sugar Pie. She was born and raised in the church. Her father built the first African-American church in Compton. He retired from Little Zion Missionary Baptist Church, where his son, the youngest, is now the pastor, and they have attendance of 3,000 people on each Sunday. Sharani played the cello, the piano, the guitar. She was a lead vocalist on their first gospel album of their church. She lived music. She received her bachelor's degree in the business of administration from California State University, Long Beach. Sharani used her talents and her academic achievement to create a lunch program where she fed kids during the summer. Sharani also had some favorite songs. God is Standing By, This Little Light of Mine, God got the whole world in his hands. You and me, brother. Shirani was also a writer. She wrote the hit song in 1972 that gave her a gold record. You may remember the group called War. The number one hit, Cisco Kid, was a friend of mine. She toured not only Europe, Asia, Africa, and throughout the United States of America. She leaves a long legacy behind. She leaves 2 children, 13 grandchildren, and 7 great-grandchildren. Colleagues, I ask you to adjourn today's meeting on behalf of Shirani Fisher. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gibson. Ms. Irwin, you were recognized at your desk.
Mr. Speaker and members, I rise today on behalf of myself and Assemblymember Doss Williams to adjourn in the memory of Michelle Serros, an acclaimed author, poet, and social commentator who passed away January 4th after a 2-year battle with cancer. Michelle grew up in the El Rio community of Oxnard as part of a working-class Mexican-American family. Her book, Chicana Falsa, helped launch a career that included writing for comedian George Lopez, working as a commentator on NPR, and being named as one of Newsweek's magazine's Women to Watch in the New Century. She is survived by her husband, Antonia Magnania, her stepdaughter, Anastasia, her father, George, and her sister, Yvonne. I ask that we adjourn in her memory today.
Mr. Medina, you were recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to join my colleague from Ventura County to adjourn in memory of Michelle Serros. As a high school teacher in Riverside, I had the opportunity to take female Latina students, high school students, to the Hope Conference in Los Angeles, where Michelle Serros spoke. And I remember the inspiration that she was to countless Latinas throughout the state of California, especially at the Hope Conference that I attended. She is very well known for her publication that she wrote as a student at Santa Monica City College, Chicana Falsa, and other stories of death and identity in Oxnard, as well as how to be a Chicana role model. And her last publication in 2007, Scandalosa, which kind of goes to who she was. You know, witty, keen insight, but also a very insightful mind. She will be greatly missed, and it is an honor to adjourn in her memory.
Thank you, Mr. Medina. Members, please bring the names to the desk to be printed in the journal. All requests to adjourn in memory will be deemed read and printed in the journal. Announcements. Members, on Monday, February 2nd, the Assembly's formal portrait will be taken at 12:15 p.m. That is Monday the 2nd at 12:15, our Assembly formal portrait. The session schedule is as follows. Tuesday, January 27th, check-in session. Wednesday, January 28th, check-in session. Thursday, January 29th, floor session at 9 a.m. All other items remaining will be passed and retained. All motions shall be continued. Seeing and hearing no further business, I am ready to entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Holden moves. Ms. Olson seconds that this House stands adjourned until Thursday, January 29th at 9 a.m. Quorum call is lifted.